Hello, welcome to the development group conversation preview for the development group conversation that's happening Tuesday, March 29th. My name is Nick Wynn. I'm the interim senior engineering manager for the enablement data stores groups, joined by Christopher, VP of development, and Wayne, director of engineering for growth second model ops. And yeah, Christopher's been kind enough to give us the opportunity to present the preview for him. So I'm going to take the rotation for this time around. VP of development, top of mind for the last 8 weeks. Quite a bit on Christopher's mind. Hiring, of course, always important, and definitely picking up a narrow MR rate, which we'll cover in a later slide. A lot of items in the reliability and security stand-up, like API limits, security impacts, and the impact of external aggression, site-wide incidents that are high impact, and FCLs. Engineering allocations, we're down to 11 engineering allocations with many closing soon. Error budgets and starting to get teams to opt into custom error budget targets. Q1 OKRs, we're 2 months into Q1, starting to think about Q2 OKRs, Q2 starting in April. Sorry, actually, I think that's May. And then retention, team member retention, the database decomposition effort, ClickHouse, a database for that's better for certain types of analytics queries, a new format for the key review, thinking about code-based maintainers, not just in the context of GitLab's works, but also for contributions outside of development. And last, but certainly not least, the war in Ukraine, the effect it's having on our team members and the people of Ukraine, very much at the forefront of our minds at GitLab, and people of Ukraine and everyone affected are very much in our thoughts. One development department KPI, headcount. We currently have 299 people in the development organization, and we've started to grow the organization again. We have 52 currently open hire positions, and we're starting to planning to start getting greenhouse IDs for Q3 this week. And so with all that, we're working with recruiting to ramp up sourcing as we see this as a continued challenge. The goal for Q1 is 30 to 31 hires. So minus attrition, this will be net 20 additions to the team. And we really can't achieve our ambitious objectives for the business in FY23 if we don't grow our headcounts. So this is certainly a big focus for us. And we're reminding engineering managers that hiring is their responsibility, and to make sure to escalate, do whatever we can to improve hiring. Infradev burndown has been another really important topic over the last months. We were able to burn down past due infradev issues quite a bit over the last few months, and we've kind of stabilized. We're looking to get this below 5. We're currently at 6, and we've seen days at 5. Still monitoring all severities at this point. And consider this yellow as we've gone below 5 now a few times, but we certainly need to be more consistent in catching these before they become due. And open close rates continue to look strong. So kudos to all the teams involved in getting all these infradev, past due infradev issues burned down. Same with past due security issue burn down. We've made some really nice progress on this over the last couple months. we're considering this yellow now as it's gone below 50, but really we want to be below 20 or even 10. So the open close rates are looking good, showing our continued progress here. Related to one of the things that's top of mind, hiring, average age of open positions. This March is the first month we've seen a lower average age of open positions in over the last 6 months. We expect this to go down further with new positions opening up, but then it may rise again after that as only backfills are open. So we'll certainly continue to focus on this with better sourcing and help with sourcing. MR rate, another big item top of mind. It's decreased, continued to decrease since 2020 highs. A couple of the macro causes for this, PTO has been up year over year. We continue to see increased focus on resolution of infradev and security issues. So certainly, while those may be impacting the MR rate, critical for the reliability and stability of our product. We also have a lot of new team member growth starting since the first of the year. So new team members take some time to get ramped up. We may be seeing an impact on the MR rate there. And certainly the war has had a big impact on team members. It's directly affecting 17 people and indirectly many. So we certainly have to recognize that as a factor in the MR rate. So while there are certainly these macro causes, we still want to look at things that we can do ourselves to impact the MR rate, continue looking ways to be more efficient, improve iteration. So directors are asked to focus on specific teams with lower MR rates. We want to make sure that new hires are focusing on iterative development, that we're giving them the tools and resources they need to make sure that they're developing in an iterative manner. Want to investigate how we can be more efficient with outside reviews. A lot of times when community contributions are made, there need to be caught up on best practices that we use at GitLab. And we've also just made sure to reflect the reality of the situation with the war. We've subtracted 17 from the denominator for the MR rate to reflect that impact. We're also looking at maintainers as a KPI. It's been pretty stable since we've had some increases over the fall, but it's time with the pickup in hiring that we consider adding additional maintainers. So we'll be looking at expanding our coverage here in the coming months. We may also want to look at breaking out maintainers per repo in the near future as part of this. OpenMR review time and OpenMR MR age. So we've recovered from a December spike, kind of back to where we've historically been at, which is under the median. So something to keep track of, but back under the target there. And then open MR age, still showing similar behavior. It's above our target, and something at this point we want to consider whether we should adjust this target or work on bringing it down. All right, now I'm going to review the development department OKRs for Q1. So first one is ARR drivers, security and reliability, keeping past due security issues under 50 is on track, as well as the free user delivery initiative. Cloud licensing still needs attention. OKR number 2, growing development to support product. Making sure that remaining team members who didn't take the customer empathy journey in previous quarters do that this quarter. That's on track. And then resolving our current SUS system usability score, S1s and 300 component migration issues, important to improving the UX of GitLab. That's also on track. And then as discussed in the previous slide, MR rate is something that we're paying attention to. And we have an OKR to raise from 5.5 to 8, and that needs attention, and has some actions that we're taking to try to improve that rate. OKR number 3, great team. This quarter, I think that 100% of managers and senior managers take either the manager training or mitigating risk training on the learning development portal. That's on track. Hiring 30 additional employees this quarter is also on track. And an item that needs attention, that I've seen some activity on, very positive activity on, is our culture amp action of living our diversity value along geographic lines. So we had a great feedback issue for gathering input from members of the development department for ideas on how we can do a better job there. So in the needs attention column, but I've seen some really nice progress and ideas there. Moving on to the top cross-functional initiatives, the development department is involved in many of them. The main focus this quarter is FedRAMP, cloud licensing, free user delivery, and reliability. And we expect this will grow as we go into Q2 and Q3. One initiative to highlight here is rate limits across our DevOps platform. Sam as the DRI and Christopher as the sponsor. Just couple things to highlight here. We've added some scope for establishing monitoring metrics when rate limits are being hit, which was something previously left to product teams to prioritize. We're trying to make a more coordinated effort on that. We are currently on track, making good progress, no key milestones behind schedule. We've added CDM limits to the application limit docs, closed 18 rate limit related bugs, and no dependencies to flag at this time. So seeing some nice progress there. And then move on to some sub-department updates. Fulfillment sub-department, some pretty big news there. Fulfillment is moving forward with the first iteration of an FY23 restructure of the fulfillment teams, which includes splitting its existing groups into more specialized groups and categories. So you can read more about it on the slide. But it's a pretty big change. And then Fulfillment's also created the billing foundation team that will be responsible for infrastructure for customers, consistent data models, and robust systems integrations across customer, Zora billing, GitLab, and Platypus. And then they've also had 5 new team members start and are continuing to hire for product manager, full stack EM, backend engineer, and product designer roles on the provision team. And going over to the growth update, I think Wayne, if you wanted to give that.
Thanks, Nick. Wayne Haber here. So on my teams, the growth product intel team collaborated with infrastructure to fix a problem where older versions of GitLab weren't reporting usage ping properly, and now we've increased reporting by 25%, which is great. The growth experimentation teams completed 18 growth deliverable issues so far this month. The secure sub-department released a number of different features with 14.9 that customers are benefiting from, including integrated security training, rule mode for scan result policies, and also the ability to generate a Cyclone DX artifact. The secure growth and secure and growth sub-departments collaborated to significantly increase adoption of the secure stage via an experiment. The model ops team reduced shared runner CI abuse via collaboration with the business applications team on improved user validation. We saw a measurable decrease in CI minutes used and in blocked users per day. And the Model Ops team is also iterating on a rapid action for Arcos Labs fraud deterrence during GitLab user authentication and to reduce the risk from potential credential stuffing attacks. With that, I'll turn it over to Nick for the last slide.
Cool, thanks, Wayne. And I'll provide some updates for the enablement subdepartment. The sharding team has recently completed phase 3 of the database decomposition project. So that's the rollout in production, provisioning a separate cluster for the CI database and directing reads there. Currently ready to deploy phase 4 in staging, and we're still on track with our timeline, projecting the completion of phase 7 around May 22nd. Global search finished working on search rate limits, and the team is aiming to support Elasticsearch 8 and OpenSearch in 15.0, as well as supporting FIPS and other front-end improvements. The database team has recently completed all of its issues for supporting the decomposition effort, and they're currently working on batch background migrations, which is 64% complete towards the GA target date of April 30th. Distribution team has recently added omnibus support for Amazon Linux 2. The memory group has finished the first iteration of consolidating profiling tools and is currently working on metrics, exporter improvements, optimizing workers that consume, that have high memory consumption, as well as continuing to work towards a Ruby 3 upgrade as 2.7 is approaching end of life. And the Geo group is focusing on moving the remaining data types to the self-service framework. They've added a verification replication for a lot of new data types using this framework, and is now looking to move legacy data types over. Will really help maintainability of the code base and also benefit from some of the performance and maintainability benefits of the framework. And enablement is also hiring. Database is hiring 2 backend engineers in Q2. We're also hiring for 2 engineering managers, one for Geo and the sharding groups. All right, that does it for the development group conversation preview. Thanks for your time. Please do consider joining the conversation tomorrow and bring any and all questions you have. We'll be happy to answer them.